Today, I wanted to talk about solutions and dilutions. Solutions and dilutions tends to be one of the most difficult um, concepts to explain and to learn because there's so many different ways that it can be presented in a problem. So I've got 5 different ways that you may see these problems come across your homework, tests, or VTNE. So the biggest key to being able to do these is knowing what the equation is. So if you always go back to C1 V1 equals C2 V2. And what that stands for is the C is the concentration, and the V is for volume. And on this side, the ones, that's what you're starting with. The twos are where you want to be. So let's look at this problem here. We've got 20 mLs of a 65% dextrose solution, and we need to make that into a 10% final solution. So how many mLs are in our final volume? Let me just erase this stuff and get this out of the way for a moment so we can do some math. Like so. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug in our numbers. We had our C1 equals, oops, back that up, C2 V2. All right, let's plug in these numbers. Now remember, it's really hard. You can't really work with a percentage. So we're going to go ahead and take that percentage and we're going to turn it into something that we can actually math out much more easily. So our original concentration is what? 65%. So let's go ahead and plop that in here, 65. And they already told us this is what we have. So our original volume is 20 mLs. All right, they told us we need to get down to a 10% solution. So plug that in here. And then we don't know what our final volume is. So V2. So now we can just algebraically work this all out. So we're going to go ahead and multiply these two. So that would be 13. And 0, 1, 0, 1, V2. And then now I need to just isolate these numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and divide the 10% into this 13. And that gives me my final volume of 130 mLs. Just like that, simple as pie. So how much diluent did you end up adding? So they may go further and ask you, how much did you add? And that's super simple. So this is your final volume. So final volume. What if the question just went one step further and said, well, how much diluent did you add? Super easy. So we know this one was our original number, and this one is where we ended up. So all you need to do to figure out how much you're going to have to add to the solution is subtract. 20 ml equals 110 mLs. There you go. And so our stock, if they ask you what your stock is, it's 20 ml. This is your diluent, and 130 would be your final total volume. So let's go ahead and try another one here. This one wants us to go ahead and create 50 mLs of a 10 milligram per ml solution from a 10 milligram per ml solution. How much stock is required, how much diluent. So we already kind of started to talk a little bit about how to just add some of them up and subtract. So this one should be pretty easy. So we got our C1 V1 equals C2 V2. And let's plug in our numbers. So our original concentration was 100 megs per mil. And we don't know what our original volume is. And our concentration we want to get to is 10 megs per mil. And we want to create our final volume of 50 mLs. All right, so now I need to go ahead and math this out. So this would turn into 500 megs. When you multiply that, you're going to lose your mLs there because they're going to cancel each other out. And then on this side, you're left with your 100 megs per mil and your volume. And now we want to go ahead and isolate. So let's go ahead and divide meg per mil and divide 100 megs per mil. So this is all canceling out. Move it further down. So your V1 equals, don't forget your megs are going to cancel each other as well. So that leaves you with 5 ml. So this is what you have right here. So V1, that is your original volume. And then how much diluent are you going to need? Well, all I need to do now is take this 5 ml and subtract it from the 50. So 50 minus 5 equals 45 mLs of diluent. This is my stock, and this is my diluent. Combined, your total final volume up here is 50 mLs. So everything should kind of check out. You can check your own math by going back and just saying, what was the original? What did I need to create? They wanted 50. I got 5 and 45. That totally adds up to 50. And you can cross-check your own work that way. So let's do this one. You've got 40 mLs of a stock solution, and it's used to create 3% diluted solution whose volume is 120 mLs. What was the concentration of the stock and how much diluent was used? So let's go ahead and put our C1V1 equals C2V2. And then we're just going to plug in our numbers. So we don't know what our original concentration is. So that's our question mark here. We know our original volume was 40 mLs. And then we have created, so our final concentration is 3%. But remember, we don't want to play with that percentage number. We're going to go ahead and convert that into a number we can math out. So 0.03. And then our final volume was 120 mLs. All right, let's move on down and we'll go ahead and go C1, 40 ml. And then we'll math this all out, and that turns into 3.6 mLs. And now we want to go ahead and isolate. So get rid of that 40 mLs, like so. And you've got your C1 is going to, now these mLs are going to cancel. And now what you're going to get is this really odd number that you may stop and think, that doesn't seem right. But it is. Remember, they were originally talking about this percentage. So now the stock solution is actually going to be a percentage. But we've converted this one, so we're going to go ahead and convert our final answer. So that gives us 9%. So that would be your final answer. And if they went further and asked you how much of that stock solution did you add, that would be easy enough, you could just go ahead and subtract the 120 from the 40. And that would be the difference in that concentration. But if they're asking you for the percentage, it would be 9%. So how much diluent was used? 120 minus that 40 gives you 80 mLs of diluent. Just like so. All right, let's try another one. This one seems much shorter. Create 400 mLs of a 5% solution from a 15% solution. So put your little V1, C1, V1, C2, V2 up there and just plug in your numbers. Original concentration, 0.15. We don't know the original volume. And then we want to get to a 5% solution. And we want 400 mLs. Okay, let's just math this out. So we've got 20 mLs. And on the side, we still had our 0.15, V1, and then isolate using algebra, 0.15. And so what does that leave you? You are left with a stock volume of 133.33 mLs. And if they ask you how much diluent, you would simply subtract those. So for the diluent, I had 400, or got 400. And I'm going to subtract this 133.33 and 266.66 repeating mLs. And that would be your diluent. Okay, this one, last one. So some of these you're just going to really have to read the problem, and there'll be a little bit extra math included in this one. So this one is saying that you have 1.5 liters of a 40% solution that is combined with 2.25 liters of diluent. What is the concentration of the final diluted solution? Now, it seems like a lot of math, and some of these questions can sound very daunting, but as long as you're plugging it in, C1 V1 equals C2 V2, just plug it in. So we have our 0.4, which is our 40% solution. And they told us we originally had 1.5 liters. We don't know that final concentration, so that's our unknown. Now here's where some people make a little bit of a mistake. So it doesn't look like they gave me a final volume, but they did. You actually have to do just a little extra math. So you're going to take that 1.5, and 2.25 over here, and let's add them up. So you're going to end up with 3.75 liters. So that's what I'm going to plug into here. So some of the problems, they're actually going to expect you to kind of find the numbers yourself within the problem. So now we're back to where we originally started with some, you know how to do it this way, just math it out. So go ahead and 0.60 is on this side, and then your C2, 3.75 liters. Math it out, 3.75, 3.75. That gives you 0.16. Now remember, we're talking about percentages here, so we don't want to leave it like this. We want to go ahead and convert that to a percentage. And we've already talked about how to convert percentages, so just move that decimal point 2 places and you are left with 16%. So my final concentration is 16%. I hope that's been helpful for everybody. And if you did have any questions or wanted me to do any more problems, please comment below and I will do my best to help you out.